Tons of headlines out of Chicago that we got to delve into. And to do that, each and every Monday, we check in with William Kelly, the reporter out of Chicago, giving us a breakdown of the situation when it comes to crime, the situation when it comes to the migrants, and even his challenges against the Chicago mayor looking at campaign finances. Talked with William earlier this morning, and here's William Kelly describing a headline that's on the Chicago Tribune right now, talking about a growing number of unlicensed migrant drivers and how could that possibly be impacting public safety. Here's William Kelly giving some of his thoughts on that particular situation.
Well, we have 100 hit and run accidents, if you want to call it that, a day. And, I was the victim of a hit and run myself. I was, a out of control driver, blew through a red light, speeding, totaled my car, and got out of his car and ran away. When I called the police to follow up, the officer indignantly reminded me that it was an accident. Okay. But what does that mean? There was a horrific story of a woman who was riding her bicycle over the weekend, hit from behind, and dragged. Okay. So this person who hit her knew that he hit her. He was probably indignant because she didn't have the decency to stop being dragged by his car, right? Apparently this individual also ran from the scene of the crime, allegedly, as they say, right? And now she's fighting for her life with a broken neck and burns over half of her body. So these are the consequences. Greg. And as a reporter, it obviously pains me to hear these stories. As a citizen, it pains me to also be on the receiving end of these drivers that don't have licenses, don't have license plates. It's pretty easy. You should be able to. I see them, I can spot them. I'm not a police officer, but yet when I'm driving, if somebody blows by me at 90 miles an hour, practically, knocking the steering wheel out of my own steering wheel out of my hands, and I notice that they don't have a license plate, it's pretty obvious that we're dealing with someone who isn't living by the same rules that we are, Greg.
So again, William Kelly talking about the headlines out of Chicago of more unlicensed migrant drivers on the roads and the public safety concerns there. But public safety obviously top of mind for voters, as they either have already voted in early elections or are heading to the polls tomorrow in Cook County. They've got a contested Democrat primary for Cook County State's Attorney after Kim Foxx says she's not going to run again. So that leaves for an open seat, and there's two candidates vying for that. One seems to be more of a moderate. The other one seems to have the Democrat Party backing. But how important is that election? Here's William Kelly from Chicago.
Well, as it stands right now, crime is just simply not being punished, and apparently we're getting more of it. Let's put it that way. You hear about the 18 shot, the 4 killed over the weekend, but what that doesn't include is the fact that just this morning there were 13 armed robberies around Chicago. Police say 4 or 5 men jump out of a vehicle. Sounds familiar, right? Well, it apparently happens on every morning, and nothing is being done about it. They point guns at the victim, saying, this is a robbery, give us everything you've got. And they're armed with handguns, rifles, knives. You also have, obviously, during the week, you have shootings, you have murders. I believe it was on Wednesday, March 13th, 10 people were shot, 9 dead in a 24-hour period on a Wednesday. So these are the kinds of statistics that you expect from a war zone, not a major American city, Greg.
But when you've got this contested primary, of course, the outcome could mean one way of prosecuting versus another. You got Eileen O'Neill Burke. She is a former justice and former prosecutor. And you've also got Clayton Harris, who used to work with the state's attorney prosecutor's office. So again, I ask William Kelly just how important this particular election outcome is tomorrow in Cook County.
Well, as a reporter, I'm not, I don't tell people, who to vote for, but clearly we have, clearly what we're doing is not working. That much, I think, is safe to say, Greg.
You've also got the healthcare concerns. Last week, the number of individuals in migrant shelters with measles increased, and you had Governor J.B. Pritzker highlight how people aren't getting vaccinated for measles when they arrive, and they're not being turned around, but now we have a measles outbreak and other health concerns and the humanitarian crisis there with the continued influx of non-citizen migrants from the southern U.S. border. Here's William Kelly.
Absolutely, Greg. It is a worry that I don't think people, I think that sadly it's being downplayed. Measles are very dangerous. They're highly contagious. More contagious than COVID, that's a scientific fact, and yet, we have we have measles in the city of Chicago, a problem that really we haven't had for decades, and I don't think the Chicago population realizes how big of a danger this is, because a lot of children in CPS have not been vaccinated. Okay, so we're not just talking about migrants who have come to this country with measles and not vaccinated, but now they are in the Chicago public schools with students who also have not been vaccinated. So this is one of many migrant-related issues that is just not being taken as seriously by our public officials as you would think, Greg.
William Kelly, reporter out of Chicago. We've talked to him in the past about his attempts to get answers from former Mayor Lori Lightfoot, and she ultimately had his media credentials revoked, which he sued. That, I believe, is still pending, but now William Kelly has another lawsuit in front of the circuit court up there in Cook County, and it deals with campaign finance questions against the current Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, and William broke it down as to what this is about and what's going to happen this week, he expects.
Oh, absolutely, Greg, and thank you. Like with everything else that's taking place in the city, we're not getting the answers that we deserve from our elected officials. Brandon Johnson, there was a full-page ad that was taken out by a political action committee, a self-proclaimed political action committee that was not registered with the State Board of Elections, a full-page ad in the Chicago Sun-Times. I, as a reporter, reached out to the mayor asking, why he did not report this in-kind contribution, reached out to the Sun-Times to ask who is this committee, who's behind this committee, how much was the ad, tried to reach out to the committee, and no answers. Just like with the migrant, unlicensed migrant drivers, if you and I drove around with a license plate or a vehicle sticker or there would be consequences for us, Greg. I happen to know that when it comes to candidates, if you receive an in-kind contribution from a committee, including a full-page color ad in the Chicago Sun-Times, without somehow acknowledging that, there are consequences. Well, there were no consequences until I filed this complaint with the State Board of Elections, and now Mayor Johnson has received a subpoena to appear at a preliminary hearing with me this Thursday, the 21st, and I promise to report back to you what is discovered.
So we'll definitely be anticipating that report from William Kelly. Again, greatly appreciate him taking time with us today here with Bishop on Air. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and join me each and every weekday morning here with Bishop on Air, breaking down things that you need to know to get your morning started. All right, greatly appreciate you guys being here. It is Bishop on Air.